All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, back is ZardX here. Back at it again to give you another very exciting podcast episode. That being my ZardCast episode 61. Now, some decent amount of stuff that's happened within the past few couple of weeks, and there's some things we got to break down, including apparently the PS5 Slim has apparently leaked online. It's literally been like this past weekend. Like it literally happened. I think was it on Friday or something like that, where there were some images that were showing up at first, and then lo and behold, then there was like some footage and all that stuff. So I got to talk about all of that. We had a recent Pokemon Presents that happened last week. I got to give some of my thoughts here on that as well, though. And then in the world of pop culture stuff, I got to talk about some Disney stuff because there's been some price changes with Disney Plus and we got a couple new trailers for a couple new things that they're going to be here on the horizon, though. And then we got to talk about some sale figures and stuff like that for Nintendo because they managed to get their fiscal report and a few other things here and there that I kind of want to go ahead and discuss. But that's just a little short synopsis of all the stuff we're going to be going through here and talking tonight. So, might not dilly dally any further. Let's go ahead and jump up in it, though. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that culture segment. All right, transition was a little long right there, though. Apologize about that. But we got to talk about Disney Plus right here because the fact that with Disney Plus, apparently they actually managed to increase the price a little bit more than normal. I remember when Disney Plus, whenever it was originally out, it cost about what was it like six? It's like $5.99 or $6.99. I'll say roughly about $7. That's what it was when it started, and it almost nearly doubled in price by the time that what is it? This service came out shortly around the COVID times, around 2020 ish. And since then, oh my gosh, I don't even know how in the world that these prices managed to increase that much. I'm like, what the freak? Yeah, because apparently prices are gonna go up to from 10.99 with the no ads tier. So I guess that's the Disney Plus premium tier, I guess, if you want to call it that, to 13.99. So from the original 6.99 when the service launched, it went up basically double in price though. I'm like, what on earth? Now I was looking at my subscription based service. I was like, how much am I paying? And I'm actually paying for the yearly, and somehow, some way, yearly, at least even when it's about to charge me like what in the next month or two or whatnot, it's going to charge me about 80-ish bucks. So that's like me averaging $8 a month. And I'm like, and there's people, and that's the premium tier, no ads. Cause I don't know why in the world you get a subscription based service and still pay for ads. I feel like what's the point? You're still watching like cable at that point. But my rate is still technically gonna be cheaper than that. Thank goodness. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but I ain't messing with those settings as long as it keeps it down low. I got some stuff I got some shows to keep watching on there, like primarily my Marvel stuff and a few other Disney movies if I don't happen to catch them in the theaters. Like I still hadn't seen that new Little Mermaid one. I don't know if that was technically good or anything like that. And oh, and Eternals. I definitely want to see that one whenever it drops out on Disney Plus, though. But yeah. And then apparently that's not all the story news or bit that we actually know about this thing, though, because apparently also they're also going to crack down on password sharing in 2024. I feel like that sucks so much. I don't know why, but I feel like maybe it was Netflix that kind of started the ball up on this mess. And now that everybody kind of saw their statistics and how their subscription based numbers went up after the crackdown on subscription based or subscription sharing, maybe that's why every other company's like, you know what? Because almost everybody across the industry with streaming services have noticed some dips. I think it was kind of higher in the COVID years, like 2020, 2021, maybe a little bit of 2022, because everybody was mostly at home and stuff like that. It just kind of drove those numbers through the roof. But now it's like people, obviously we've been doing what we want to do since then. And then there's a lot of competition. Like what you got Disney Plus, Paramount, Amazon, and stuff like that. Peacock, and I mean, you have a crazy amount of different stuff. Like even the stuff I watch on my show that's like kind of cable-ish is through like a thing called Ozark Go, and that's basically streaming over the internet. So there's just a lot of competition and a lot of different things out there, though. So the fact that they're cracking down on the password is gonna, it is gonna suck. I have a couple of family members that kind of rely off of it and stuff like that. So it will suck for them because there's no way I'm paying even more than that to add extra unless they send some money my way though. But I mean, it is what it is though. So it is gonna suck for those families that might be a little spread out across the country, or maybe spread out even across the country, maybe across the city or whatever though. But yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate though. And so I was like, dang, I don't know. I guess Disney was looking at some of their numbers, saw their subscriptions falling. And I was like, kind of sucks. But I'm like, whatever. All right. Sticking on the Disney front, let's go ahead and transition over here to the Marvel side of things because they did manage to confirm a couple of things that are coming out here fairly soon. And yes, they did confirm that I Am Groot season 2 is actually going to be happening here this year. And I was like, oh shoot, I didn't think it was nice watching season 1. I mean, that's just nice little shorts and whatnot though. Yes, it's literally right around the corner. It's supposed to come out on September 6th. And I think they're probably just gonna drop them all at the same time because I think that's what they did with the last season though. But it's nice little stuff. Obviously, this is like Groot when he was like in baby form or whatnot. So prior to the events of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and all of that stuff. So I don't know. I just like it. It's just a nice little enjoyable experience. Nothing really to take seriously or whatnot though. So pretty straightforward, but a nice announcement nonetheless. Because I don't think this was even on their forecast of future projects, whether it be movies or Disney Plus shows. I don't think it was on any of that. So the fact that it kind of just pleasantly surprised us with that, I was like, oh, okay. All right, that was actually pretty cool. Now, the other announcement, the Loki season 2, we already knew that it was coming. We just didn't know an exact confirmed release date or anything like that, or slash the trailer for it, and apparently now we got the trailer for it. It looks great. It looks great. It doesn't look like they managed to miss a beat from the first season. At least me personally, I'm about to what was it? I think in the weeks leading up to the season 2, I'm actually gonna go back and rewatch season 1 because out of all the Disney Plus shows we managed to get up until this point, I would definitely say that Loki is at the top of all the Disney Plus shows if I were to rank them and whatnot, though. So I was like, yeah, no, I really enjoyed this series very thoroughly, and I'm really looking forward to see what they're doing season 2, especially after they left it on that cliffhanger for season 1. But we got some interesting shots like that. It looks like Loki is about to take the spot of the old King the Conqueror because, kind of the consequences of them kind of knocking out the previous one and kind of starting the whole multiverse thing. And that's kind of starting off the whole thing with the multiversal saga and all of that stuff, though. So it's like, I was like, okay, all right. So I'm just very curious to see how this story will play out, and then also what kind of further implications that can basically leave for the rest of the MCU in terms of this Phase 5 we're currently in. Because Phase 4, it was rough. There were some things I liked, a lot of things I didn't like, and some things I was just kind of mixed upon though. But Phase 5 has been pretty solid thus far. Like what we had Ant-Man and the Wasp, we had Guardians of the Galaxy. Technically, Wakanda Forever ended Phase 4, I think. Ooh, I can't remember that line though, but I think basically this year started and whatnot though. And I know we have what the Marvels along the way. That's supposed to come out in November though. So some good stuff coming. And we do know the release date at least for this one right here, because I think what was it? I think it's supposed to literally come out in the month of was it September or October? Do, 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 do. Yeah, October 6th. So it's literally like a month after the events play out for the I Am Groot season 2 season right there though. So yeah, October. So literally I think it's like what the last Friday of August. And it's weird though too because I think that launch date is actually on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken, which normally they drop their Disney Plus shows over there on a they usually like to drop them on Wednesdays, but the fact they moved it over to Friday, so I'm like, I guess they're changing a little status or whatnot though, because I think I think it's supposed to be a 6 episode event. So if you were to track all those 6 episodes, that means like the finale of Loki season 2 would technically happen on the same day that the Marvels also comes out. So that's gonna be a very busy day whenever we manage to get to that though. But honestly, some good stuff right here. Definitely looking forward to this series, and I probably will. Well, I always used to always talk about the Marvel Disney Plus shows whenever I'm actually watching them though, but I probably will say something at least every single time I have a podcast episode, at least while that series is going through and airing at the moment though. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of all the pop culture stuff I had. So a little bit unfortunate Disney news, but then we got some kind of good stuff though. So I don't know. Disney's kind of going through a weird phase right now. I don't know about all the intricacies and all that stuff that they're trying to do and whatnot, though. It's a little odd, but I'm like, whatever, though. But let's go ahead and transition over into the other side of the things, that being what's in the gaming news. All right, so apparently, first off, it's cool. I think this was kind of announced roughly around the Evo-ish time because Evo has shortly passed. We had it within like the past week or so, and apparently they actually managed to announce that there is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover with Street Fighter 6. And I was like, looking at this, I'm like, it's actually really cool. Actually, we had like quite a bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles announcements like that. The Ronin, which we know that's coming out to like PlayStation 5 and all of that stuff though. But it's a good time to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. However, cost for each one of these costumes is like $15 a pop. I'm like over here, I'm like, what on earth? I know licensing and stuff like that might not be the easiest thing to pull off and whatnot though, but if you want to get all four of these, you're basically paying the cost for a whole nother game. I don't usually most skins, I feel like when in fighting games, it's like $5 or maybe a couple or a few. A whole $15. So I'm like, come on, y'all. I was like, you can do better than this, Capcom. Like, really? But it's like you literally get the skin for it for Street Fighter 6. And with that skin, you're literally using it for the main, what was it? Basically the main story mode for Street Fighter 6. You can basically use that costume for that. It's basically like the avatar character you essentially create. You get to use him for basically, the whole entirety of whatnot of your little adventure though. I mean, me currently right now, I'm not super deep in Street Fighter 6, at least with the story mode, but it is curious because if I were to purchase any one of these, it would definitely be Leonardo because he's always been my favorite turtle out of the bunch though. But I don't know. I wish that they reasonably price these costumes a little better because I imagine there's going to be more collaborations and more crossovers with Street Fighter 6 in the future. And if we're already starting off with like $15 a pop for some skins, I can hardly imagine. I, I can imagine what the prices of future things could possibly be, though. So, exciting, but also a little concerning news right there. All right, now we already talked about some concerning news. Let's go ahead and talk about a hot topic that most of the internet has been enraged about for the better part of like this past week. And yes, Rockstar came out and said they're going to go ahead and release Red Dead Redemption for the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. And for a lot of people, they were kind of excited for the upcoming announcement of what this could have been for. People were originally thinking maybe there would have been a PC version as well. And, people kind of scratch their heads like, why there's not an Xbox version though? But I think for most Switch fans, especially if you're only in the Nintendo Switch or Nintendo ecosystem, that's really good. You're playing a game you never got to experience though. But then also it's kind of cool for the PlayStation fans though. But for all those fans out there, especially those that played Red Dead Redemption 2, were thinking, hey, you know what? Are we going to get a remake with the first game? Are we going to get a remaster? And funny enough, it's neither of them. They just straight up ported that version that we kind of gotten back on the Xbox way back when. And literally, it's just a straight port. It's 30 frames per second, nothing else really enhanced for it. So people might have been thinking, oh, well, it has to be kind of cheap because I could get mine on the Xbox right now for $30. No, this thing is gonna MSRP for $50, and it's like, what the heck? And that's just the crazy thing right there. And that's why people are going up in the tizzy. It's like, wait, buy a decade old game and we're gonna charge you $50 for it. People thinking, especially since it's just a straight port, not a remaster, not a remake. People are thinking, well, shouldn't it be actually cheaper than that? And then I also kind of sat down and thought, I was like, it's interesting how they dropped it for PS4 and the Nintendo Switch, but it didn't actually give a version for Xbox. And that's the reason why, because their backwards compatibility with the Xbox Series X and S is so good that you can actually, still purchase that game on the digital storefront, or if you happen, I guess, to have a physical copy of the game. And with their upscaling and stuff and how they actually run older games better, they're basically got the same version on there without you having to actually buy what would be this new version for other consoles. So that's the reason why we don't even have an Xbox version, because I think you can go out and buy that on the Xbox right now for like $30. So it does bring up an interesting concept, and I might actually think about this for a future video here on my channel at some given point. But the fact that the whole thing with remakes and remasters and the ability that these companies, they basically want you to invest in an all digital future, which I technically made a video already on that about the all digital future. Is kind of imminent though, so you can go ahead and check that out on the channel though. But they want you to be invested in digital, how to control what you can and what you can't buy, because that's the reason why a lot of companies, especially Nintendo, don't want you to buy a whole bunch of legacy things, because they know they can easily repackage that as a remaster or a remake and resell it to you at a higher, what could be an MSRP way later down the road, versus if you had something like a Super Mario 3D All Stars or whatnot though, and if you had that like for example, they did that and was able to package three packages together, right? And then they delisted after a period of time though. Because imagine if they had like a Super Mario 3D All Stars 2 or something like that in the future for their 50th anniversary. Maybe they want to repackage those three games with some other future Mario games we might have gotten since then. And it's just a way for these companies to basically make more money. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're very selective about what kind of games and stuff, and especially whenever you look on the Xbox side of things with backwards compatibility and being able to actually, play games nicely. In essence, Xbox kind of took away a sale for Rockstars for all the people on Xbox, because the fact that this game technically runs really well already, and you're still able to purchase it right now on the Xbox without having to buy this $50 port that they're also making for these other consoles. You kind of stole some sales from Rockstar. So it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting game of how they kind of play out these remakes, remasters, ports, and stuff like that in general across the board though. It's kind of something you have to kind of keep in mind though. So yes, I know there's been a lot of people mad and upset and whatnot though. I think some people are okay with it, like your Nintendo Switch fans, but generally most of the people that probably would have picked it up on PlayStation 4 would have been a bit upset. And I know some people were thinking, well, what if the game came out on PC? They could probably fix it up and beef it up, but it's not even getting the PC release though. So it's, I don't know, it's very akin to, what was it, the Grand Theft Auto remaster stuff that we gotten within, what was it? It was like a year or two ago or something like that. It's very akin to that. So people are like, oh, Rockstar. I don't know, they've been cheap though, but literally, like, what, within like the next year or two, whenever they go ahead and announce Grand Theft Auto 6 and show it off in a full blown trailer and give it a release date, everybody's and their mama's gonna forget about this. Might actually break the internet. Who knows on that day though? But yeah, so some interesting stuff right there though. But mm, mm, it is something to really think about right there. Now let's go ahead and get into an extremely hot topic, that being the PlayStation 5. What you're seeing here on the screen, if you happen to be watching the YouTube version of this podcast, is some actual images of the video that this person actually took of a PlayStation 5. We're going to call it a PlayStation 5 Slim, even though I don't know if it's technically going to be called a PlayStation 5 Slim. I just can tell from the look of it that this is basically that rumored detachable disk drive that I actually reported back on my podcast several episodes ago. Shoot, yeah, it was a while back though, but we knew that there could be a possibility that this next version of the PS5 could have a detachable disk drive. So really, Sony could come over here and say, "Hey, we got a brand new price for a $400 system. If you want to buy the disk drive as an accessory that you can slap on later, that's just an extra $100 though. but it was kind of seen as a nicer price point of them coming in at $400 versus actually coming in at $500, like what the Series X and stuff is actually coming up in there though. But it is interesting because we, at this point now, we basically know that they're manufacturing these consoles. I imagine a release date for this newer system or SKU is going to be coming out here fairly soon. Because since this broke over the weekend, it'd be funny if Monday morning comes around and then they actually drop it on like on a PlayStation blog or something like that. The fact that oh, we got this new system out and it's gonna be coming out on day X. So you can kind of look forward to this and give us all the details. It'd be interesting if they did that on Monday morning though. But I do expect a release date sometime imminent, probably within at least the next couple or few weeks or something like that, since they're manufacturing these things. Ideally, according to rumors we kind of heard, it's kind of shooting for a fall release or kind of close to the holiday season or whatever though. So it'll just be another big unit out there that'll actually help push the their hardware sales and whatnot. And then alongside bolster their sales for all their software and stuff like that though. So this is really interesting. I would show you the actual footage of this thing though, but I do not know what they're gonna do coming up in here Monday morning if they start striking channels and stuff like that. That's why I'm just got the static image up on here and I ain't showing much more beyond that because it was interesting because originally there was just like a small little image of just like the top half of the PS5 and then this person showed a whole video. So I was like, okay, well, gosh dang. I was like, all right though, but it's interesting that this console kind of leak. It just kind of makes you think it's like, well, while people are actually going through the manufacturing process and all this stuff, you think the second that they go ahead and manufacture this, they just go ahead and make an announcement that they're actually doing it. Because it always seems like these consoles always leak. I think it happened as well with like the Nintendo Switch Lite when it was on the production line and stuff and along with a handful of other stuff throughout the years though. So I don't know, things just naturally like to leak once they're in production though. So it's like, hey, you just definitely gotta keep an eye out on all of this stuff though. So just remember, we're probably gonna get an imminent announcement of this new SKU for the PS5 here fairly soon. All right, now that we got all the PlayStation related stuff out of the way, now we're gonna focus in within the Nintendo stuff, at least for the rest of this little gaming news segment right here, though. And with that, we did manage to get some new sales figures for the Nintendo Switch in terms of its like fiscal reports, though. So we got a whole slew of brand new numbers. So let me go ahead and pull that up because obviously one of the big things I think most people were kind of keeping their eyes on was how many copies was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was going to manage to sell. And apparently, as of June 30th, and remember, this game came out in like May. It roughly spanned about a month, maybe it was a tiny bit more. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom managed to sell 18.51 million copies. Remember when in the first 3 days, basically the launch weekend, it sold 10 million? Well, it managed to also sell an extra like 8.51 million. That's grand total 18.51 by June 30th. Now you look at the calendar right now, like what we're basically mid-August right now, and we hadn't even had a holiday season yet. Cause like this is just people probably a good chunk of people that really love Breath of the Wild story and just quickly went out and bought Tears of the Kingdom. However, you also got that whole other audience of people who would normally buy a bunch of their stuff around the holiday season, Black Friday and stuff. So that number could jump up even higher than that. So that's kind of crazy right there. Then we can also kind of look at basically the brand new top 10 in terms of the highest selling Switch games right here. So looking down at number 10, we have New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe at 16.17 million units. Crazy how many copies that game managed to sell. So it kind of makes you think like how much could Super Mario Brothers Wonder could manage to sell though. So it's probably gonna be more than that. Just saying though. At the new ninth place, we have Legends of the Tears of the Kingdom at 18.51. At number 8, we have Super Mario Party. At number 7, we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at 22.66 million. It's close to catching Sword and Shield. I don't know if it quite will. We'll just have to wait to see because I feel like I guess since the last sales quarterly report, I think has slowed down in sales. I don't know. We'll see what another holiday sales will kind of do for those games. Um, at number six, we have Sword and Shield at 25.92 million units. And then here comes the top five. At number five, we have Super Mario Odyssey at 26.44. Then at number four, we have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Did manage to actually crack over 30 million at 30.65 million. So literally, Tears of the Kingdom would literally have to go and get on about almost 11.5 million. It has to sell 11.5 million more units in order to actually capture Breath of the Wild. I don't know if it's ever going to catch it because it's something about the first game, especially since that literally was the game that released out on launch date. That just makes me think, I don't know if it will quite manage to get it. I don't know. Then at spot number three, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 31.77 million units. Then at number two, whoo, man, these numbers. Animal Crossing New Horizons at 42.79 million units. I need to actually go back and look at one of my last reports or, the last reports in the Fiscal thing and see was there really a lot of change with Animal Crossing's numbers or is it still kind of selling a little bit though? And then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the king that can never be stopped at 55.46 million units. That's just absolutely bonkers right there. I'm like, whole freaking shoot. So yeah, so that's basically it in terms of all the sellers that were in the top 10. And I think Tears of the Kingdom, I think, was like the one big thing that people were kind of questioning how much did that game manage to sell. Now, in terms of the actual hardware, the Nintendo Switch is sitting roughly at 129.53 million units. So basically, we can just round it up and basically say the Switch is at 130 million units, which is actually, really good. But then I think the big question now that everybody's wondering is, can it manage to catch the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo, or no, the Nintendo Switch? I can't talk now. The Nintendo DS as well as the PS2, because the Nintendo DS is sitting a little over 154 million units, and the PS2 is roughly around 155 million units. Crazy how the DS was like short of the PS2 by like about a million units or so, though. So literally, it's like, they literally have to sell at least 25 more million units. Usually, during the Nintendo Switch's heyday, it was averaging about 20-ish million per fiscal year. But I think at the beginning of the fiscal year, Nintendo said we're gonna sell or target 15 million units. And if they manage to do that now, that will put them about a little less than 10 million short of the PS2 by the time we get to like March of next year or something close around that. So I don't know if it's an action, if the reality will be able to hit that or or within a reasonable time, will be able to actually hit it. I think it's possible, but they would have to start doing some price cuts if they wanted to actually manage to hit that goal. Maybe because it's weird because I think within like many of Nintendo's past handheld units, they did manage to actually give out price chunk or price discounts. The later we got into the generation, especially once they introduced a little bit more SKUs. Like remember the Nintendo 3DS started off at 250, but this is closer to launch, and then sliced it to 170 because it wasn't selling as much. And then lo and behold, in the Nintendo 2DS, there was like a model that eventually sold for like almost $100 late into that console's life. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get the same thing with the Switch, or maybe the Switch Lite. I think the basic Switch, the $300 SKU one, I think is the most common one. So I think if you were to slash that down to 250, maybe 200. I don't know. I feel like at this point they're basically sold the Switch to as many people that are normally gonna get it, and maybe the only people probably left that probably ain't gonna get it or that could get it but haven't yet is maybe people waiting for a price drop or something like that. So I feel like they mostly sold it to people who all would get it. So I don't know. We're about to see this thing plateau. I feel like here fairly soon. But then also another critical thing is how much longer could they sell the Nintendo Switch beyond what could have come with the successor for the Nintendo Switch 2, because there's been a lot of buzz and stuff going on with the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So it's like a lot of different things we're gonna have to kind of keep our eye out on over these next coming months though. So yeah, so interesting stuff right there. interesting stuff. And then we had some other stuff with the fiscal stuff, but I think that's probably the most of it though. We did get some more updated numbers on some other games that managed to sell like at least a little bit more than 1 million in a quarter. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 sitting at 12.8. Super Mario 3D World Deluxe is at 11.3. Splatoon 3. I don't know how long ago it was when they cracked over 10 million, but Splatoon 3 is at 10.6. 3D All Stars at 9 million. It's crazy how they stopped selling that game. That game could have probably sold more than that. I don't know. Super Mario Maker 2 is at 8.4. Kirby of Got Lands at 6.4. Kind of crazy for a Kirby game right there. And Legends of the Link's Awakening Remake was also sitting at 6.4. And I had some other numbers here as well. I might as well go ahead and read them. Diamond and the Pokemon Brilliant and Diamond and Shining Pearls at 15 million. Legends Arceus is at 14.8. Legends Arceus should be outselling the Diamond and Pearl stuff. Like, oh shoot. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze at 4.6. Fire in the Three Houses at 4.1. Skyward Sword at 5.1. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity at 4. Metroid Dread at 3 million. Oh, now they want to update Metroid Dread to 3 million. I don't know. That's a little inside joke with oh shoot, RGT 85. You're saying it wasn't gonna sell 3 million within the first what was it, the first year or something like that. And now they actually fully confirmed that it is 3 million as of now. Okay. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is at 2.7 million. I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like the highest selling Xenoblade game. It's still kind of interesting how that one is the highest selling one. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the numbers and statistics I have, at least on the fiscal reports for Nintendo side of things. So it's really cool, some really interesting stuff right there. All right, now we got to talk about this Pokemon Presents. I technically have a video cooking now at the moment. I'm still working with my editor to try to get that one released because I actually talked about it in full, like all the stuff that was in that was in the presentation and kind of my general overall thoughts. So you can kind of look forward to that video dropping. It should drop out sometime this week. I'm just waiting on some final revisions and stuff like that though. But yeah, you can kind of look forward to that on the channel. But just a short form of that for here in the podcast. I thought it was okay. I felt like if you were a Pokemon diehard fan, you were eating up all of the spin-off stuff like what we got with Detective Pikachu, the DLC stuff we got for Scarlet and Violet, as well as like all the other stuff like your mobile game updates. And there's a lot of different animation that was actually showed up in this little presentation as well, though. But yeah, I think if you're the diehard Pokemon fan, primarily someone that probably only plays Pokemon and pretty much nothing else, this show might, it might have really spoke to you on that front. However, if you're just a Nintendo Switch fan and just care about just the games themselves, I don't think this presentation shined that well for a lot of us other people, though. I mean, me, the only things I was able to take away from it is literally the three things you kind of see here on the YouTube side of things. The Detective Pikachu, we just got a little more information on that. Don't know why they hadn't confirmed if it was like a true sequel, but I guess they basically imply it is. Obviously, the DLC, we do know that at least for the first wave of it is coming out in the month of mid September, so we have an actual date for that one now. And then we actually managed to get a surprise with the NSO, that being a Pokemon Stadium 2 for the expansion pack tier, as well as the trading card game for just all NSO members, though. So that was the only three things I was able to walk away with. But everything else for this 35-minute presentation, it wasn't really doing it for me, to be honest, though. I was just kind of swinging through it. Animation stuff looks cool. I'm probably gonna watch some of that stuff because I think like what the TCG one I think is already out for that little bit of animation. So I'll definitely go and check out a couple of those things though. But yeah, no, these presentations, the only thing I have uh, the only thing I'm literally upset about is literally just the fact that there's not like a surprise or wow factor. It's just more like a routine status update on a lot of different projects and stuff that they have with just the Pokemon company as a whole. I think this is something that we just gonna have to live to accept, at least with these presentations. It's not gonna be anything like its sister presentation with like the Nintendo Direct. So yeah, it is what it is, but we're in, basically almost in the middle of August right now. So here in about, I would say give it a week, or 10 more days when we're like really have like 1 week left in August, and everybody and their mom is gonna start saying, all right, when's the Nintendo Direct gonna happen? Is it gonna happen on this Tuesday or this Thursday or this Wednesday? They're just gonna start shooting out a bunch of dates. So, just prepare yourself because it's about to come around the corner. I'm just letting y'all know, just giving y'all a little bit of a heads up. But yeah, so we have potentially that to kind of look forward to as well here in the future, though. But this last interesting news, that's all I had planned originally for the show for tonight. However, there was one little last bit of breaking news that actually happened on this Sunday that was actually announced because apparently right now the Pokemon World um championships and stuff is actually taking place right now. And apparently, the chief operating officer of the Pokemon company, Tapato, and I ain't gonna even attempt to pronounce his last name though, actually had some statements that he actually sat down with some people that actually did manage to get an interview with him though, and it apparently has something to do with the quality of the games that they're releasing at the quantity that they're actually releasing them as. Because here's the word straight from his mouth that he managed to say. So he said, "quote I think in general, if you look at the past, the path we've taken up until now has been this constant release, always regularly releasing products on a fairly fixed kind of cadence, you might say. Always having these products able to be introduced and new experiences for our customers. And that's how we operated up until now. I think we're still operating in that way, but we're more and more, oh, shoot. But there's more and more conversations as the development environments change about how we can continue to do this while making sure that we're ensuring really quality products are also being introduced." So this was what the man's literally the dude that you're seeing here on the screen right now on the YouTube side of thing. That's literally the words that was coming straight from his mouth from this little bit of an interview. And I think having two generations back to back to back with Sword and Shield being in the state that it was, and with all the kind of backlash and stuff of how like that was the first game that not all your Pokemon that you're able to actually capture throughout all the different generations be able to exist in one game. The fact that that was a big controversy, and I don't need to remind everybody about that because the internet was hot for like a period of like 6, 7 months in the lead up to the launch, and then even like a couple of few months after the launch. And then whole like who was that an N64 tree and all that stuff. You go from that, then you look over here to Scarlet and Violet, which Scarlet and Violet is, I would say, much better games all around than Sword and Shield was in almost every single front. However, there were some weird, wacky glitches, some performance things. Some of the graphics and stuff didn't kind of live up to what they kind of should have been. So having two different generations back to back like that, and them hearing kind of some of that backlash, some of that controversy, and all of this other stuff, I know it has reached the developers' ears because the Sword and Shield era was rough. And I know a lot of those people were kind of saying that to them because even Nintendo themselves had to come out with a statement when all the weird glitches and stuff were coming out. They were like, "Hey, we're going to work on this game. We're going to get it up to snuff because we always like to release quantity." I think that was Nintendo on their side damage controlling this stuff, even though it still also affected the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Creatures, as well as the Pokemon Company International, because the Pokemon in general is owned by all of these different entities and whatnot, though. So it affects a lot of different people, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Nintendo's also expanding their development studios and stuff over there in Japan. So that way, some of their partners like Game Freak are actually able to work with them within like the same building and be able to have extra shared resources and stuff. I do remember there being like some kind of similar report of that way back when though. So I think it has reached the head honcho's ears. I know it's something that they're definitely gonna have to work out because this is what the Nintendo Switch was like. Imagine if we get the Nintendo Switch 2 that could be up to the levels of like PS4 graphics, and you're still kind of pulling this mess because you still have people out there that are saying like what they're literally looking at games at like the Detective Pikachu game that's coming out on the Switch for Detective Pikachu Returns and saying, "Oh, that's basically just a 3DS game that they just put over here on the Switch." you keep going that same mantra and not upping up your level of your game of what you could potentially be able to develop for, and do that on the Nintendo Switch too. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. They could kind of get away with this back in the day with DS and GBA games and stuff like that, the original Game Boys, because the graphics weren't super heavy. They were just always within the handheld environment. But now that they're also developing for not just technically handheld, but with the hybrid system also being a home console, it's really showing right now though. So I know that they got people breathing down their backs and stuff. Yes, the sales of these games have still always been doing good. It's kind of where they kind of expect it to be. And this is just one tiny part with the games compared to the Pokemon TCGs and the anime and all the different mobile games like Pokemon Go and stuff that's also generating billions of dollars of revenue every year. It's just one slice of the pie. But when that one slice of the pie basically influences everything else and people are having some mixed conceptions about it, you don't have to necessarily taint your brand, especially when you spent this long building it. It will take a lot to break it down. But, with small little cracks, it can just happen slowly but eventually. So that's just something you have to kind of keep in mind though. So I'm glad that they kind of know about it. I'm glad that they're starting to hopefully, and that's just fingers crossed that they're trying to do some other things to kind of change their business strategies to how they're going to happen to make these games because it's a bad thing that unfortunately they kind of lock themselves into these 3-year release cycles because the games always release every 3 years because then you have things like the anime and the Pokemon trading card game. Anime is actually trended away from it where it's not solely based upon the brand new regions and whatnot, though. Kind of is, but they're kind of doing its own thing. It's not as rigid, so it is a little more fluid, though. But other things like the TCG and all of this extra stuff, figurines, whatever you want to say, and the mobile games and all that stuff, they all rely back on the main series, though. So you got to have the base of your pyramid solid before you can kind of build everything else up on top of it, as all the other revenue stuff, the business side of things, and everything else in between, though. So yes, I think that's basically it in terms of what I kind of want to say, at least within this one given statement right here. And that is essentially all the topics I have for y'all tonight, at least on the gaming side of things though. So some very interesting stuff, but we'll go ahead and switch it over to the next major topic, that being so about that show. All right, so in terms of some of the shows I think I've been watching lately, I've been going through and watching obviously a bit more anime here and there though. Talked about at least half of the stuff I managed to watch within the past episodes. Some of like my big major like, oh, you definitely have to go and watch these. Like I think I already talked about Masamune Kun no Revenge. I believe I already talked about Tempuru. And I think I also talked about Reign of the Seven Spellblades, I think. Oh, and Jobless Reincarnation. I don't know about the Seven Spellblades if I did talk about it or not, but I know I definitely talked about Jobless Reincarnation though. And some of the other things I managed to watch was My Tiny Senpai, which is basically like a little show of it's basically like a slice of life anime with a little bit of rom-com up in there. My unique skill makes me OP even at level one. Some of these names with some of these animes, it's like, what on earth? I don't know. Japan got like a weird little fix right now. Liar Liar. I think that was actually pretty good. It's like them playing like a bunch of different games and competing on like a star system and trying to. It's like this dude that's basically cheating and keeping this level 7 star act going on though because of some other obligations he has to uphold. A really dumb one called Reborn as a Vending Machine. I Now Wonder the Dungeon. I don't know. At first, I was thinking that was just so dumb. I would never even give it the time of day to actually attempt to watch that. But I actually kind of like it. It's a little weird. I don't know. This is something I actually kind of watch as a show just during my lunch breaks or whatnot, though, while I'm at work. So it's just a little nice thing to watch here and there, though. And then I've been watching The Great Cleric, but that might be one I might actually drop. I don't know. That one, I thought it was okay at first, but I'm kind of leaning away from it. And then also, Am I Actually the Strongest? It's about like this dude. I don't know why. There's a lot of different shows out there now within most anime seasons. A lot of reincarnation ones. Like literally out of all the ones I'm watching right now, one, two, three, four. I think it's four or five. No, five. Five of these, five out of these 11 shows I'm watching on Crunchyroll right now are literally about some dude that died in a previous life or something happened to him and he got reincarnated into another one. I don't know. Japan's really been liking that genre. Some of them are okay, and some of them have kind of been trashed, or some of them just been kind of mixed, like whatever though. I don't know. I wish I got to see a little bit more variety in some of those different kind of shows though, but I don't know. It is what it is. But the big major hitter, the one I really wanted to talk about was Bleach. Bleach is finally back with its part two. They're literally doing like all of these as like split cores, so it's like four major what would traditionally be like a season of anime that's kind of spread out. So this is part two right now, where literally what within the first part we had the Soul Reapers versus the Quincy's. That's the major conflict right now with the King of the Quincy's and whatnot, though. And I've been waiting for this anime for forever to actually manage to get this last final arc of the anime, or the arc in the manga, should I say, done and completed. And it was like years later, and we finally managed to get it. Slowly but surely, we're getting all the parts. And the first part, they had the all out attack on them. They lost a lot of members though, so they kind of were in the rebuilding phase and stuff. Now they're hitting for their wave two, and we got like Ichigo over here, with like in like an area zero region or something like that, training and trying to get stronger and stuff, so that way he can actually defeat like the Quincy King, who technically happens to be like his relative in like some weird, crazy, twisted way. I won't say much more than that. But he's off doing that. All these other Soul Reapers are trying to defend the Soul Society, once again from all these different attacks. So I'm like, man, it's getting good. It's heating up and stuff like that. That new anime intro, kind of like it. I kind of like it. It's not great, but it's kind of nice. Well, I kind of love hearing, the different OSTs and stuff, being able to, when they go through and play them again, I'm like, oh shoot, it's been years since I heard this OST. Cause it has some good OSTs and stuff. I'm like, oh, there's always this one that's called like, I don't know what it's called, but the one that goes like, if you wanna see some action, now and dun 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 dun. I was like, I don't know. I heard that was played at like the very tail ending of the first part of this 4-part season or whatever though. And I always loved that little track right there. And I was like, oh goodness. But yeah, that's my highly recommended one right there. But obviously, if you do want to watch this new one, you kind of need to go through and watch all the other previous. What is it, like 170 something? I don't know. It's somewhere in the net range there. It's not as bad as going through and watching all the One Piece, the crazy Gear 5 and stuff that's happening with Luffy at the moment. I've seen some of that stuff, that like crazy cartoonish action. I saw some clips here and there though. That's just some crazy Looney Tunes mess right there though. But he broke it. My good friend Sonic Q, he broke it down for me, explain why certain things is kind of playing out the way how they are and whatnot though. So yeah, so honestly, that's, I think for the most part, most of the things I've been going through and watching. I haven't seen any new movies as of late. I still need to sit down and watch the brand new Black Clover movie. Like, I know it's on Netflix. I just need to sit down and watch it. And then I still haven't watched the new Dragon Ball superhero movie, because that's on Crunchyroll as well. I still hadn't even seen that sucker. I don't know, maybe this week or maybe this weekend, I'll try to sit down and force myself to say, hey, sit down and watch this sucker. I don't know. Hopefully within this next week, I'll watch at least one of those two different movies. If I know those two movies are so good, I got to see it up here in my theater room and actually, sit down and watch those, because I know that those are going to be some great experiences watching that and whatnot, though. So, I think that's pretty much it in terms of all the stuff I've been going through and watching. But like always, like what I always say, if you happen to be watching this, um, watching or listening to this, whether it be on the YouTube side or on my podcast service side, if there's any show you kind of want me to try out, as long as I have access to it, as long as it's something on Disney Plus, Crunchyroll, Netflix, or stuff like that, as long as I have a way of watching it, I'll watch it, give you a little review, and I'll hit you up with it within this segment next week, though. So whoever leaves that comment first on the YouTube side of things on the podcast episode, that's always open for anybody to, try out or whatever though. But yeah, that's basically it in terms of that segment. So now we're gonna go ahead and jump over to that very last segment, that being what you've been playing. All right. So lastly, some of the things I've been going through and playing, I've been going through and playing a good amount of Pikmin 4. I'm basically at the very tail ending of the game right now. All I'm waiting to do is just knock out a few things. Like I gotta do like a night mission here, gotta do a couple of Dandori battles here. And I do really do plan on actually streaming in the finale of the game. That is kind of my goal. So hopefully within this upcoming weekend, maybe on Saturday or on a Friday or something like that, I kind of wanted to sit down and stream it. It'd probably be like what, an hour and a half for me to run through that final dungeon or I said dungeon, technically the final cave, and just run through that last cave and get that little experience in. I'll whenever I do decide to do it, I'll give you a heads up on Twitch, or I guess technically now they call it Twitter X. I still want to call it Twitter because X is weird. I don't know. But I'll make an announcement over there on the Twitter side of things. And then once I make that announcement, I'll be going live and streaming that stuff on Twitch whenever I do decide to go through that big finale run. But I've been playing a little bit of that. I've been playing a little bit of Splatoon 3 lately because we're kind of getting to the very end of the season for Splatoon, where you got to finish that catalog level, otherwise you're going to lose out on some easy things that you can get, whether it's like the poses and stuff for the victory animations, or like literally they gave out some small things you can stick in your locker, like the Super Nintendo or the game. I think there was a GameCube or stuff like that. Little things like that. I just want to finish out that catalog. I think I'm on like level 92 or 93 right now, so I just got like a handful of more levels to level up on. So I've been going through and playing through that. Because here soon, within like the next couple of weeks, we should have a brand new season actually dropping. So actually, by the time we have the next podcast episode in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll probably be able to actually talk about what's coming within the brand new season. So yeah, so we got some good stuff to look forward to on that. Um, on the PlayStation side of things, I really have not been playing a lot of things on the PlayStation side, unfortunately. I think at this point, I'm just really waiting on Spider-Man 2 to come out. Even though I technically have a backlog on the PlayStation side of things, I just kind of been waiting on, I just been honestly waiting on Spider-Man 2 to come out because once that comes out, then that PS5 is going to be getting in some work and whatnot though. But that might be largely due to the fact that I've been playing a lot on the Rock Ally. But actually, before I talk about the Rock Ally, the one thing I did manage to play over the on the PS5 within like the past, it was like what, maybe last weekend or something like that. I did actually manage to try out Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising because they did manage to do a beta test for that, and I'm actually genuinely impressed with that game. And I was like, oh shoot, I actually might get this fighting game. So I did a little bit more digging on it. They actually finally confirmed the release date. I think it's coming out literally on the last day of November. So I think November 30th is when that game actually drops. It's coming out on PS5, PS4, and Steam. However, the good thing is there's gonna be like I'm dubbing it like a light version where technically you can play this game for free. They're gonna give you access to you with like four different characters, and this was like some news that broke out around Evo time. That's when we got the release date and some of these other details as well, though. But they're gonna give you within the free versions like four different characters that you can use that allow you to experience story mode, everything that's up in chapter one, and you're actually able to play this game online with people that actually even have the full version. So I was like, oh shoot. So even if I didn't want to burn the money at the time, I can at least still be able to try out that game for free. And I feel like that's kind of one of the ways how people are getting introduced to fighting games. It's very competitive. Like what you have literally all the fighting games that could be releasing out this year. We have everything from Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, potentially potentially we should be getting Tekken 8 as well. You have all of those three bigger ones. We know like a Nick All Stars Brawl 2 is coming out as well. And I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, the fighting scene is always really competitive. So it's like I don't remember seeing a game actually come out and having a light version for a fighting game where you're actually able to basically play a decent bit of the game for free. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So I definitely keep my eye out on this. And it's not even releasing for a full $60 MSRP. It's technically going to be 50. So I kind of do want to plan on picking up this game because I do want to get into the Green Blue series a little bit more because I remember watching what was it like the first season of the anime or something like that. I just kind of like the characters, the art style, and stuff like that. I'm very interested in it. I just hadn't played much in that series though. But I definitely want to play that brand new RPG one whenever that comes out. They still saying winter um, a winter time frame. I don't know. That's winter 2024. I mean, 2024, 2023, or is it going to be winter 2024? I'm thinking it's going to be early 2024 at this rate, though. But I definitely want to see that game come out and see some more information and finally get that release date, though. But that's almost everything I can say on the PlayStation side of things. Now, with the ROG Ally, which is basically, for anybody that hasn't heard about this, it's basically like it's essentially the equivalent on the Steam Deck side, so basically a gaming PC handheld. And I've basically been playing that. I did a little update. I did manage to buy an external GPU. I think since the last podcast that I managed to talk about this. Well, I did manage to get that, so literally it's able to play all my games pretty stable at 1080, 60. I technically could do 4K, but I don't actually have any TVs or monitors that can actually go up to 4K. But with that external GPU, no, yeah, it seriously can go. I think it's like I can't remember which one it is. There was like the people. It's the 2022 version. Like there was one that they released in 2023 that was like $1,600. But the one that was the 2022 version was like $800. So I was like, I'd rather get the cheaper one. It's still going to allow me to do everything I want to do on there without it being super over the top or whatever, though. So that's the one I got. But anyway, I usually use that to dock it, or I can go out and play it on the go and stuff. So on that little system, I have been playing a lot of. I've still been playing a decent bit of Yakuza Like a Dragon. But in here lately, I actually been messing around on the dolphin side of things because I we managed to actually finally get a thing that's called Emu Deck, which is like a nice layout. Like you can literally lay it out like the Nintendo Switch layout and like roll your icons over and have like some nice artwork and stuff pop up and have like little gameplay demos and stuff. It's a really nice, clean interface. And that's the one thing I've really been kind of looking for because when you do go through and emulate some of the games that you actually own, it's like I just want a clean UI. If it's kind of cluttered, not really easy, you have to go through and program and set up a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, I just kind of stayed away from it though. But they made so many advancements within this thing with the MU deck, which you do have to pay a little bit for like a Patreon thing to kind of get up into it. But you can drop out of it. But if you do drop out of it, you don't get any more updates on it. But if you do manage to get up in it, it is really nice. I really do like the setup and stuff that is going on for it. It is really nice. I really do really appreciate it though. But within it, I did manage to learn some things here and there though, because it's been an experience with this ROG Ally. I've been learning a little bit. I probably knew a decent amount of stuff with PCs, but I actually learned a little bit more stuff though. But one thing I really wanted to do was I moved my basically my whole entire GameCube library and managed to actually get it up on this thing. And I've been messing around with net playing. So I've net played and tried out some Mario Party with some friends. Um, I also managed to do some double dash. And even managed to somehow manage to work and get Four Swords Adventure from the GameCube actually to work with the GBA support and everything. Like we managed to get like our small little screens going, and it was like me and Steven testing this stuff out, and we actually managed to get it to work. I was like, "Holy shoot!" So that's the one thing I really do like about the ROG Ally and stuff. I literally can play this stuff as a handheld or dock it as if like I actually have like the GameCube hooked up. And the fact that I'm actually able to play a lot of these different GameCube games online with friends, I've been chilling and waiting to play Double Dash like that. Because now that I can play Double Dash with my friends like that, oh shoot, that is a game changer. Like I've literally been going through. Yes, I still have a GameCube, and I will still collect games and stuff like that. But as I go through and collect games, if I do manage to pick up a copy of something, then I can go back through and add it back to my ROG Ally and be able to net play with some of my friends and stuff like that. But it's been a great experience nonetheless with this ROG Ally and all the different stuff that you're able to actually do and accomplish. Though, but yeah, on the GameCube side of things, I don't think I managed to collect any more things since I made like the last update. Because I'm trying to remember. I think the last game I got was like Simpsons Hit and Run. I want to say. I think that might have been the last game I think I might have recently got though. But I was looking. I was like, maybe I should get Donkey Kong Country or no, not Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat or that other thing with the bongos or whatever. I'm just debating back and forth whether or not I'll get that and whatnot though. I don't know. I do need to figure out what's the next GameCube game I need to kind of get though. But if I did manage to pick it up, everybody and mama basically knows in the month of October, it's about to get real crazy. Like you have, or not even October yet, like in the month of September rolling up to it, I do know we have the brand new season for just lay all this stuff out because the second half of 2022, 2023 is going to get a little bit crazy because I know in September, the very beginning, we're gonna have that new season for Splatoon 3. So I have to always put my time in with the catalog, get back to rank X, see the new stages, check out any new modes and stuff like that. We could get the brand new story trail or the story stuff for Pearl and Marina. We could get all of that stuff within that first major September thing. Remember, also in September, we're gonna have the Nintendo Direct. Also, like midway in September, we're also gonna have Starfield actually drop for Xbox and stuff like that. Early October, you have Detective Pikachu Returns. Then you also managed to have, I think, Nick All Stars Brawl 2 is coming out within like the first couple of weeks or so. Go into like the mid late points of October. You have Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and you also have Spider-Man 2 releasing on the same exact day. Rewind a little bit back to September. I forgot mid-September. You also had the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as well. But yeah, back in October, yeah, you had Super Mario Bros. Wonder as well as Spider-Man 2 dropping out on the same day. But a few days before that, apparently, if this still happens to hold true, quite possibly could also manage to get Sonic Superstars that drops like 3 or 4 days before both Spider-Man and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And then a few days after those couple of games, then you also have the Metal Gear Solid collection, stuff like that, all within the month of October, which is actually crazy. And then you roll over into the month of November, and you also manage to have what was it? Oh, you managed to have the Super Mario RPG remake as well coming out in November. And then I already mentioned earlier how I said I kind of want to get the Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising that comes out the tail end of November. But then also you got to remember that I think the DLC for Scarlet and Violet could also drop out in November. It'll be November or December, but I'm gonna bank on it being November and stuff. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then there's also technically supposed to be some Sonic Frontiers DLC that's coming out. And there's also supposed to be some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge DLC also coming out. And then that doesn't even include anything that could be technically announced as reveals and stuff that could be coming out in that September direct that could be happening probably roughly next month. Cold freaking shoot. It's about to get lit. So I'm trying to go through. I need to finish Yakuza Like a Dragon. I need to finish that and get that out of the way. And I need to manage to get in four get that all done before September rolls around. That's at least the goal for me personally. Because then Splatoon will kick in, then the Pokemon DLC will kick in, then Detective Pikachu, and the rest of it is going to be a wrap. I know some games I'm gonna probably start up, some I ain't gonna finish, some that might roll in the backlog, but almost every single one of those games I mentioned, good chunk of them, not every single one. I kind of want to go through and play, but that's just the status of things right now. But that's basically it in terms of most of the things I've been going through and playing, and that's basically all I have to share with y'all within this one show for my ZardCast episode 61. Man, it's been a crazy some kind of couple of weeks though, but it's been a good couple of weeks. I will do say so myself. I know for most people out there, it's probably roughly around school time ish. So you happen to be in college or happen to be a high school student or lower. Yes, I know it's, for many people across the country, it's about time for them to go back to school. So now I got to worry about that traffic on my way to work and all that extra stuff, though. But well, honestly, it should be good. Hopefully, it gets a little cooler. It's been really hot in the area where the area where I live at right now, it's been really hot, so I'm hoping for some little bit cooler weather. I say bring on fall. I just don't want it to be too, go from extremely hot to extremely cold real quick though. But But yeah, oh shoot. But that's pretty much it in terms of all the stuff I wanted to talk about within this one episode, though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below. What all did you think about all the recent news that we kind of gotten within the Nintendo side of things, whether it be the fiscal reports and all of that stuff, and some of the Pokemon related stuff with the either the Nintendo Direct or that latest statement that we got from the head honcho of the Pokemon Company International. You just gotta let me know about all that kind of stuff there, though. But as a reminder to everybody that might be going through and listening to this right now, if you haven't been on the YouTube side of things, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell. That way you never miss anytime I go live with another podcast episode or any kind of gaming topic discussion video I happen to drop here on the channel, though. And also, you still able to actually go through and watch this podcast on your podcast service. I know I've been kind of late on some of the uploads and some of that. Like I literally uploaded my episode 60 about a handful of hours before this episode 61 aired live on my YouTube channel, though. But I try to do a little bit better. I keep saying that to myself, and then something happens every single time, though, and I'm like, oh, I know I got to do better, though. But yes, if you're able to actually watch this podcast on Google, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. Yes, you can even listen to me in the car with iHeartRadio as well. So you got a lot of different avenues to be able to listen to this as the audio only version, though. But I think it's basically going to do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 61. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, and until my next episode, that being my ZardCast episode 62, I'll see y'all later.